Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Hey, Tony.
It's all right. Time to play the lotto.
Time to play the lotto. That's right. Hey, Kaylee.
Hey, Lionel.
Kaylee.
Hey, Lionel.
You're an engineer. I mean,
Last I checked, it was.
Yeah, everybody knows that you spend a good portion of your time single-handedly building Pratt & Whitney turbine engines to install on Airbus A320s. Have you ever tried to install one of these puppies on a different Airbus?
Yeah, we tried, but unfortunately we found out the hard way. They didn't get very far off the ground.
Okay, so you pretty much stick with the A320 then.
Yeah, it's like that's a sweet spot for that particular engine. So we tend to stick to that.
All right. So yeah, John. Okay. So anyways, Kaylee, is this boy? There's a good intro. So yeah, John. Kaylee. Man, someday, I'm going to be good at this. Kaylee, do you know if this is the first podcast since the last podcast?
Yes. Bruce had written on the board.
Oh, okay. So
you could say that about any podcast.
What's that?
Is this the first one since the last one? Sure.
Yeah.
That's true of every one.
And you are?
That's the ship sinking already.
Yeah.
Wow.
Guy stumbles into the studio going, "You're not doing it right." Yeah, I know. And and thanks for noticing, Art. It's a bit, John. It's just a bit. Which reminds me, you have to give me your hot dog map to New England.
Oh.
Do you still have it?
I do. Perfect. I do. I still have all the rating scores and everything. It was a hot dog map of Connecticut.
Okay. Do you have it on your computer?
Not on this one. I'm on my training computer.
Well, okay.
So, but it's within reach. Yes.
And so your training computer, does it have wheels on it?
No. No, this one's a big workstation with two 35-inch monitors on either side of a 25-inch monitor. So I broadcast from the middle one, and I watch everybody I'm training. It splits into up to 12 screens on each of the side monitors. So I could watch a bunch of people doing things to make sure they're doing what I teach them correctly.
And you're training them to do what?
Train them how to use software specifically for the human resources industry, specifically recruiters. So it's recruiting software. It's called applicant tracking software.
Wow. And how did you ever get into that?
I had my own software company for 20 years that I sold a while ago, but I did it. The short story is I couldn't find a job back in 1979. I walked into a headhunter house, slang for recruiters, and they said, "Why don't you work here?" And I said, "Doing what?" They said, "You find people jobs, and you get you get a percentage of their salary." And I said, "What? I never heard of it." And so I did that for 3 years, and we slowly. That was in the late 80s. I'm sorry, late 70s, early 80s, and they needed to computerize because you were looking through index cards for people with various skills. And I just bumped into these kids, 2 guys from MIT and a couple other guys. And I eventually went to work for them because it was much more fun. And I always enjoyed math. The 2 partners started to argue. And I said, "I've got an idea. How about if I buy the company from you guys and stop arguing?" So I did that. And then I sold it just as a company out of Greater Philadelphia was going public. So I sold it right at the right time, and they bought me as they were going public. So I said, "Such a deal." That's the short story.
So I have 2 comments there.
Yeah,
I have 2 comments there. First off, I got to turn my phone off. That's comment number. I guess I have 3 comments. Turn off your phone.
How long have you been doing this podcast?
Just about a week and a half.
Okay. And yeah, all right, yeah.
Yeah, I know. I know,
okay.
Tony. I hear you, buddy. I hear you.
I can't believe such a rookie mistake.
I hear you.
You don't. Okay. All right.
I'm with you.
I won't point out the obvious.
You won't. You'll get no argument from me. Lester Holt's job is safe. So I have 2 comments, John. By the way, that voice you hear is John Sacerdote, who is the president of the Amherst Railway Show. The Amherst Railway Show at the Big E that's down the street across from the basketball place show. That show.
There you go. That's it.
So, okay, this was a company where you found people jobs, and then you kept a percentage of their salary.
Yeah, I was a recruiter.
And the guy that approached his name was Vito.
You're gonna take this job, right?
Yeah. That's not called a percentage. That's called the VIG. And the other one is that not an oxymoron? Greater Philadelphia.
Oh, it could be. The outskirts of Philadelphia. I should have said.
Yeah. Oh, I love everybody from Philadelphia. Go Flyers. Except Tom Jacobs. I don't get the whole gritty thing. I don't understand that at all. So, okay. So what we have here is this has been arranged by our pal Kaylee Zhang, who contacted John Sacerdote. Kaylee Zhang, of course, we all know and love her because she's the former Nutmeg Girl, Spice Girl. She works at Tom's Trains installing decoders. She is the the United States, the lower 48. I guess it would just be the lower 48, eh, Kaylee?
Yeah, I think it's just lower 48.
What if somebody in Hawaii buys a Rapido engine? Who would they send it to?
At that point, it's so far, it almost doesn't matter.
Okay. What is your official title with Rapido?
Warranty specialist.
Oh, I know. I have a question for you.
I may have an answer.
I'm going to ask you this question right on the air, and I don't care what your answer is, and don't try to hedge your bets or anything like this. Next Wednesday, November the 11th, Tony and I are going to interview Jason Schron. Would you like to be part of that?
Sure.
All right. Boom. There you go. It's at 3:00 though. Is that okay?
3:00 in the morning or 3:00 in the afternoon?
Afternoon.
Well, we'll have to see about that.
All right. You'll let me know. You know what? Why don't you have your people contact my people?
Absolutely. My people will contact your people.
Exactly. We have peeps. John, Kaylee and I, we have peeps.
I understand that. Yes.
And she also, so what is your official title with Rapido Trains?
Warranty specialist.
Warranty specialist. And how long have you been doing that now?
Oh, just a few weeks.
And what does it feel like? Does it feel like it's what you expected, what you were hoping?
Well, it's interesting. It's you see a lot of issues. You see I think the most important thing is that you get the joy and satisfaction of being able to fix something that someone holds dear and special and get it operational again. So there's no feeling in the world that could beat that.
That's cool. That's a great way to describe it because, people would send it in. If they could fix it themselves, they would. But something's happened to their particular locomotive, and they probably feel somewhat distressed that, doggone it, the darn thing's not working. They send it to you. You fix it, put it back in tip-top shape, and send it back to them and improve their day.
Exactly.
Oh, I love that. What a great analogy. Well done, Kaylee. And finally, we have Tony Cook, who is the editor of Model Railroad News, the creator of HO Collector Quarterly, which has been around now for about 5 years. The world's largest super train fan.
Now, when you say world's largest, is that a comment towards the fact that my AML shirts are 3X?
No, it wasn't anything like.
Okay,
no,
all right.
No, that would have been more like the guy with the shiniest head. That's a super train fan.
Wow!
Yeah,
looks like either way I'm coming up. All right, never mind.
Never mind. The original, the creator of HO Collector Quarterly, and how long has that been going? 5 years, you said?
Yes, 2021 is its volume 5 issues will be out. So yeah, surprisingly, it doesn't seem like it, but it is.
And we're very excited because you're trying to organize an interview from Supertrain. His name is
Joey Oresco.
Joey Oresco, who played like a conductor or something on the Super Train.
He was in charge of operations for the last 3 episodes. His character was Wayne Randall, and he's been. His career goes back to the mid-70s. He was a regular on Black Sheep Squadron. Before Super Train, he's been on like Dallas, Dynasty, Rockford Files, Murder, She Wrote.
Holy mackerel.
I mean,
he's been around. Cool.
A lot of stuff, yeah.
Black Sheep Squadron, Robert Conrad?
I believe it was, yeah.
Yep, okay. Pappy Boyington.
Oh, listen to this. Pappy Boyington on. Oh, wow, nice one. Kaylee, it's up to you now to come up with some TV trivia.
Oh.
I got nothing. Swing and a miss. I got nothing.
What was
Trouble on the network? Please stand by.
Yeah. Exactly. Put up a. All right. So the reason we're all gathered here is because in late June, we had a discussion with John Sacerdote, who is the. What is it? The president of the show or the director of the show?
Show director is the appropriate title.
And the actual title of the Amherst show is
the Railroad Hobby Show.
Right. And back then we were all very excited because we were going to meet again in October or early November and talk about what the update was about the Amherst show, Springfield I call it. And you have an update, but it's not necessarily the one we wanted to hear.
No, unfortunately. I mean, we were just beside ourselves for over a month, jumping through various hoops that the West Springfield Health Department was putting out for us, and we'd come up with a plan, they'd modify that plan. We'd come up with another plan, they'd modify that plan. We come up with a third plan, and this is for real. They modified that, and on top of all of that, things were not getting any better, which really was a disappointment. We've had almost a year, and obviously when the show happens, it will have been a year, and I believe it's going to be as bad, if not worse, than it has ever been. Just last night, we had over 100,000 cases, which is the first time in the U.S. history. So I just don't see it getting any better. So keeping that in mind, of the 440 exhibitors that come to the show, we had 120 cancellations at the time we called it. So with 120 cancellations, all of them, within that, it was every single layout that was coming to the show except for 2. So we had scads of space, which we were going to use to social distance, but that didn't matter much to the West Springfield folks. And I must say, the Eastern States Exhibition people went out of their way to try to make this happen for us. And I can't say enough good things about them. But between the cancellations and what we had to do, and then looking at the line by line items of how much we were going to spend versus how many people were going to be there, it all came down to we had a cap of 6,700 people that could be there over the 2 days, and I'm not so sure we would have even gotten that. So even if we were about 1,300 people, if you do the math times the ticket sales, we would have broken even. And I can't spend $250,000 to break even. No one in their right mind runs a business like that. So between that and the health department wasn't done with us yet. We just had to call it. It just didn't make business sense, and I couldn't guarantee numbers because they were being so restrictive. And I think it would have gotten worse based on the way the country's going. Massachusetts, Connecticut just went back to phase 2 from phase 3. So it's going in the wrong direction. So all of that put together, and we feel we made the right decision. And I've gotten a lot of great feedback from our exhibitors, and we're doing a lot of things for them. Number one, full refunds. Unquestioned. You just say, if you need a refund, you need your money back, you got it. And not that everybody paid, but a lot of people had. And people that bought advance tickets, full refunds, or apply them the next year, and that goes for the exhibitors as well. So in place of our show, we're going to have a 4-part virtual train show. The first one we're kicking off the weekend of our show. With a ton of streaming clinics and specials links to everybody that usually is in the show. And if you don't have a website, because some of these guys that have been around forever don't, we're making a couple of small mini website pages for them. Because what really killed me was the fact that a lot of these exhibitors come to the show to make some serious money. And so many of them have told me this is the show that they make their most money at. And so to cancel this show after all these little shows haven't been held at all was really a blow to some of these guys. So we're doing everything we can on that weekend and 3 additional weekends, probably spread about a month or 6 weeks apart. We're going to have a themed show, one for serious modelers. We'll kick it off with serious modelers and manufacturers. And I've got the plan in the works, and we're about to release the plan to everybody and see who wants to be a part of it. Then we're going to do a kids show because we have a lot of things like the Lego layout, Maggie the Train Clown, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Then we're going to do a historical society theme show, and probably the last one being a miscellaneous or layouts. I'm thinking we're going to do a layout show, and we'll have virtual layout tours of a lot of these places. So we're doing that to spread it out so that people can really target towards the people they're interested in. We're going to ask everybody to have some show specials that they would normally have done on the show. So we're doing everything we can to make money for these guys. So that's where we're at.
A huge, that was my first thought was, I mean, what you're setting out to do is going to be a huge undertaking. So it'll be interesting finding out about that. But my first thought, and Kaylee, you could maybe help us out with this, is like some of these guys, this is a huge part of their yearly income. And I'm thinking, oh my God, a lot of these people are really going to be struggling after this.
I know of a couple that say they'll probably retire because they have the last show they were at was our show.
Right.
So they haven't been to a show, and they won't have been to a show in a year. And some of the numbers that some of these folks make at our show, I've told people, and they, and I ask them, I said, is this the largest dollar grossing train show in the country? And they say, absolutely. People come to our show to buy. And when we had, about 6 years ago, we had 18 inches of snow on that Saturday morning when we usually get 13,000 people. We had 5,000 people. Now that for the Amherst Railway Society, that killed us. That killed us. But the vendors made exactly the same amount of money as they did the year before.
Wow.
So what that tells you is that people will go crazy to get to that show to spend money. And there's other little things that back it up too. There's back when I kept track, I don't anymore. There were 8 ATM machines, each holding $60,000. They were single tray, they weren't double tray. With two stacks of 60,000.
Right.
And we'd fill them up Thursday night, and they'd come back Saturday and fill them again.
Wow.
8 times 60, that's $500,000. And they'd fill them up. Now, they didn't run out the second time because they filled them out. They filled them up Saturday night. But people would spend in cash from the on-site ATM machines, they'd spend probably $600,000 at that show. Oh, it's incredible to me. And when you talk to some of these guys, no one likes to say what they made. Not that I care, but I love hearing when people say they had their best show ever. Some of these guys walk out of there, guys, with 6-figure sales. Some of the large vendors make over $100,000 at that show in 2 days.
I can believe it. I mean, Kaylee, I know it's a big deal for Tom's Trains. I mean, has there been much chat about that around the shop? And by the way, somebody has a squeaky chair. I don't know who it is.
There it is.
Sorry.
It's Kaylee's.
I have a squeaky voice. Maybe that'll do it.
It might be Tony trying to buff up his head.
Oh, wow.
Man.
Tony.
Yeah, but here's Tony. Here's the thing: you're polishing it so that these insults he's flinging at you just skim right off.
Thank you.
There you go.
For the record, my mic was muted. while Mr. Sacerdote was speaking.
Well, thank you for that, Tony. So it couldn't have been Tony.
I don't think it was me, and I don't have a squeaky chair. In fact, I'm moving it around right now. Do you hear anything?
No,
there we go.
I got a hunch it's Kaylee actually, but
I think it could be you, Lionel. Can't be Kaylee because she's a warranty specialist. She'd have her chair in top-notch working order.
Good point. Well, for the record, I had John's microphone muted the entire time too.
Oh,
great! So do I have to say that all over again?
Verbatim, one for one.
Yeah, really. All right. So, Kaylee, not that I want you to discuss other people's business in public, but I mean, I'm interested in is Tom, the owner of his shop, is he stressed about the fact that he can't get to Springfield?
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely disappointed, but understands the situation. For Tom, I don't know the exact dollar figures, but I know it represents about 1/12 of his annual business at the Amherst show.
Okay.
So it is pretty significant, and it is a huge loss of revenue for him. But as far as what we're going to do, it's one of those things where it's unfortunate. The only thing you can do is kind of just shoulder it and keep moving. If he can't, he's in a position where he really can't stop, but at the same time, he's also in a position where we need foot traffic. So we're lucky that where the shop is positioned, it's pretty accessible. So I think a lot of people, especially in the Northeast region, will kind of pop in when they cross through state lines, assuming that they can get through state lines now. But yeah, so that's the trick that we're going to try to have to figure out and manage. How do we generate that same level of foot traffic that we normally would see during the Amherst show?
Yeah, it's got to be. So do you think he'll partake in any of these online things that John's going to try to accomplish?
Well, maybe. I think we'll have to look into it a little more and understand what's involved and how does Amherst plan to put this together.
Yeah. So, John, I think you know us well enough now. And Tony, if you have any questions at all, please speak up because your input is priceless.
Okay.
So, John, now, Tony, you know I'm kidding, right? I mean, I'm not kidding about your price. Your input is priceless.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, I'm not kidding about that.
Getting worse.
Yeah. I'm just going to shut up now. Tony, you take over. So, John, we obviously don't want you to talk about anything that you don't want to talk about from behind the scenes, but I'm kind of interested to know. I mean, it must have been just hard because you guys have never missed a show since
54 years.
54 years. So it must have been just heart-wrenching. Like, did you guys have a meeting in person? Was it a Zoom meeting? I mean, how did you? It must have happened like it must have accelerated to a point over a week or 2 weeks where you kind of...
Yeah. The final straw was the health department telling us that we had to cap the number of people in the buildings. And then every 4 hours, they had to rotate to another building. And in between that time, we had to disinfect the buildings. I said, so 4,000 or 5,000 people that have to wait outside for an hour while we disinfect the building. I said, where are you going to keep them all? It's January. And they go, oh, yeah. I said, you guys have really never been to our show. You have no idea the size of this show. I said, it'll never work. Yeah. It's never going to work. So, yeah, honestly, if you really want to know, I was for a moment or two there, I had tears in my eyes. I live for this show. I love this show. And only because I've been in sales my whole life. And what I really love hearing is when these guys say, John, I just have my best show ever. And I go, I just love it. I just love hearing that because I've been commission-based my entire life. And when I hear people doing well, and honestly, that's what necessitated this whole virtual show. I need to do something to help these guys make some money.
Right. Yeah. And with your background in computers, you have some knowledge. But okay. So how long have you been director?
This was going to be my 16th show.
Yeah, it still is.
16 years. Yeah. Well, yeah. If you count the virtual, yeah, absolutely.
I think that's the way to go. So
I do too.
So, I mean, was it like I'm assuming you don't make these decisions solely on your own. These decisions of this magnitude. I mean, did you guys have some sort of a meeting and kind of all?
Yeah. And I talk with our treasurer, who's a really smart guy, and he actually does my taxes. And I said, I look at these numbers. So I ran the numbers, and I said, we're going to spend $250,000 to make $22,000. I said, what business has a 10% margin and survives? So, because we run at about a 26, 27% margin for the show. And I said, but we've got to do something to make it up. So we agreed. I said, we got a board meeting coming up in a week. We just heard the final straw from the health department that really said, this is just insane. And I couldn't guarantee if we kept going how many people were going to cancel, because it didn't include but 2 of our 12 Canadian exhibitors. And there's no way that they're going to be able to come down. I heard after the fact that borders, it's too much of a hassle. And so we would have probably had 10 to 20 more cancellations. So with all of that, when we had a board meeting, we go through the agenda, the minutes and blah, blah, blah. And then I give a show committee report. And I started out by saying, I move that we cancel the show. And there was dead silence. And I said, guys, in order to have discussion, someone has to second this. It doesn't have to happen if we vote against it, but someone's got to second it to open it up for discussion. Because we are truly a nonprofit, and all our minutes get sent into the Commonwealth of Massachusetts every year. And so we've got to do it right. So someone finally seconded it. And then I went through the numbers, and I went through what the health department is making us do, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And it was a really easy unanimous vote. So it was 7-0 to cancel the show.
And then you're all kind of sitting there staring at each other, going,
"Oh yeah, I was in such a miserable mood." And actually, one of the guests, who's our news our monthly newsletter, he said something, and it just made me snap. But I needed to get all of that out. It was a lot of pent up frustration, and I took it out on him. I'm sorry to say, but I felt better.
Yeah, which is really the main thing.
Exactly. But honestly, my wife was on my case. She says, "Man, this has really gotten to you." I was not a nice person for a week. Right. And then when I started seeing what we could do virtually, I said, okay, I'm starting to feel a lot better. And what's going to happen is this switching over to the virtual is actually opening up some doors about where we should be headed as a nonprofit society going forward, as far as what we want to do long term to get the word out there, get our name in front of everybody, but really just promote railroading, which is one of our mantras anyway. We want to promote education and of railroading, history of railroading, and so I think this is going to force us into where we should have been 2 years ago, computer wise, to get some things going, because these little get-togethers will probably happen in addition to the show. We just want to do everything we possibly can to spread the word, make some money for people, and then go from there. But I'm going to need some help. So I'll be calling on a lot of the exhibitors to help me with content. I've got a pretty decent outline, and I will get it out to everybody very soon, and I will make sure I send a copy to Kaylee so you guys can get your hands on it as well. Tony, you'll probably see it just because you're one of my guys. So we'll see what happens. But here's the plan. It's going to happen the same weekend as our show, the kickoff, and then we're going to have some subsequent things as well. But the big one's going to be the same weekend as when our show takes place. I've already got a couple people that are going to be giving clinics and streaming live both days. Train World is doing a bunch of stuff the week before, and we're going to talk about it. So I'm going to come on their streaming live show a couple days before, and I've known Kenny for a while. So, but and then tons of content. But I want this all done by when we usually announce what's happening at the show, and that's the first weekend in December. So that doesn't give us much time, but it'll be out there. because we've got a pretty solid outline. I've got a couple of pages of stuff that we're going to be doing. And
do you have any ideas? Will you do it on Zoom or Facebook, or what do you think you're going to do?
Actually, I have a business account for GoToMeeting and GoToWeb, and it'll hold up to 10,000 people on GoToWebinar, but it's not the easiest to use. So we are actually looking into other software as we speak to do the live stuff. But a lot of it is going to be just go to the website and you're going to walk through the brochure, but it's going to be an online brochure with links to everything. So it's going to look kind of like the train brochure that we usually produce, but you'll be able to turn the pages and say, oh, here's this guy. Click, it'll jump you to his website. Here's his show specials, et cetera, et cetera. And they all have their own shopping carts. So you just go to their shopping carts. We're not doing this to make money for us. We're doing it for them.
Well, sure.
So, but we'll have our own cart there because we have our show store there, right across from some of you guys. So it'll be along those lines, but we're going to try to theme it. So the first one is going to be manufacturers and the serious modeler. And then we'll have probably another theme, not-for-profit / historical societies, another one with layouts, another one dedicated to kids and things that kids could purchase and try, and starter kits and all kinds of stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. If we try to do this all in one, I just think it's too much.
Yeah.
So if we theme it, I think it'll work out great. So
and I mean, nobody wants this. Nobody wants what's happening, but I mean, you're probably going to end up with a whole pile of ideas that you're going to be able to use moving forward from this point on.
Oh, yeah. We want to do things like even restructure the newsletter. Our newsletter comes out once a month. I want it to become more of a blog-like thing. So we were really going to invent our own or buy you, Lionel, and then you could be our newsletter. So I've been meaning to ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so now who does your website? Because I see you haven't made any changes yet. This will be broadcast. I'm going to try to broadcast this. What's tomorrow? Tomorrow is November the 5th?
No, today's the 5th.
Oh, geez. I was going to put this out the following Friday, which would be the 13th. I think I'll put it out on the Thursday, the 12th. I don't think I'll put it out on the 13th.
Yeah.
I think I'll put it out on the 12th. That just gives me a queasy feeling.
Yeah, lucky 13.
Although that was Dan Marino's number, so I mean, well, then he never did win a Super Bowl, so yeah. Anyways, I'm going to put it out next week as soon as I can. So right at this exact moment, a few days before the podcast, I see you haven't done anything to your website yet. Now, is this a one-man project? Do you have one guy that works on your website, or
the railroadhobbyshow.com is the website that I am the webmaster.
Wait a minute. Time out. You're the show director.
Yeah. And
you build the website.
Yeah.
Holy mackerel!
Here, I thought I was the overachiever.
Yeah, exactly.
But the AmherstRail.org site, we have a really smarty pants as a web director for that, and that's what he does for a living. He's still very active with a lot of clients, but he loves and he is a member of the Amherst Railway Society and the Belt Lines, which is that a modular group within our group. So he enjoys doing that website, and he's done a really nice job with it. So no, I have not started changing things around other than announce that the show is canceled, as you could see.
Yeah.
Plus I turned off advanced ticket sales. But soon, we honestly, we've been working ferociously on this outline, and by the end of the month, it'll be up and with what we're going to do, and I'll have already sent emails out to all the vendors, exhibitors. The software that I train on, I've adapted it to run the show. So it's got email blast capability built in, and every contract that everybody signs for every year is attached to their company and contact records. So and plus our membership is in there. So I actually run the Amherst Railway Society software on top of all of that. But it sounds like a lot, but it's not, because it's very straightforward. It's very easy. It's the stuff I train on every day, so I certainly know how it works, and it's very straightforward. But I'll grab all the exhibitors who have contracts for this year, and say email all of them, and it'll personalize an email. So it'll send out 440 emails, one at a time, personalized. So they'll get emails about what's happening and all that kind of stuff. But I always say, just call me. And because if I'm down here in my office where I am now, I'll pick up the phone unless I don't like you as a vendor.
Yeah.
And then you just have to leave a message. But no, seriously, I will pick up the phone every single time.
Unless you see that it's my number, then you're like,
well, yeah.
Exactly.
So just change your caller ID before you call, and then I'll never know.
Actually, I'm looking on my phone. I don't have your phone number. Oh, you gotta have to send that to me just so I can call you.
Yeah, I definitely will. And it's a direct dial right to my desk, so you'll be good. I'll even give you my cell phone number, but people don't understand how I use my cell. Only when I'm out of the office, which is where I spend 80% of my waking hours. Only when I'm out of the office will I answer my cell phone, because I usually have it off, because I'm right here by this phone.
Right. So, okay. Yeah. Well, then you know what? Give me both numbers, and then
I was going to say I'll give you both.
Then I can contact you. Then you and I can stay in constant contact at all times. Wouldn't that be fun?
It is.
Of course, John. You do realize you're going to get a one-word call every single time.
Yeah.
Ring, ring, ring. Hi. Click. Ring, ring, ring.
Hey, John, how are you doing?
It's 2 words.
Lionel, I get a monthly and sometimes a little bit more email from Sacco, from Jim, and I love getting those emails because I've known him forever, and from a long time ago, and so I love hearing from him as well. And I mentioned because I know you guys are good friends.
Absolutely. Well. So when you're just talking about the website, though, I mean, I think it's important for people to realize this truly is a labor of love for you. I mean, you just love this show. You love everything about it. It's you take I'm sure you take February off, and the other 11 months of the year you just have. You're having a ball doing it.
That's exactly it. In February, I am dead, so I sleep for 3 weeks, and then it starts all over again. And the reason why I was in such a funk the last couple of weeks is, we had to call 30 plus hotels and tell them, oh, that freebie weekend where you get rooms when nobody else is ever here because it's the dead of winter? Well, we're canceling the show. And a lot of them were extremely disappointed because we take 30 hotels in the greater area and fill them. And so that's a big blow to their business too. So, and the restaurants around the area.
Well, yeah, that was actually going to be one of my next questions. That was my next question is, have you heard from the restaurants and the hotels in the area? And I mean, have you heard, are the restaurants as aware of this situation? I mean, I realize the hotels are.
They are because I called them. And so I spent, when we canceled on Wednesday night, all Thursday for about 7 hours and all Friday till about 3:00, I called people and told them there was no show. From the banquet we have on Saturday night to all of the restaurants. The restaurant right across the street, we have an account where all the floor managers eat, and we huddle up and rent a room there for breakfast every morning at 6:00. I had to tell him we're not coming, and a couple other restaurants down the street where they give us deals. All the hotels, and what really broke my heart is we have this one vendor for all the pipe and drape, and we are their largest show of the year.
Right. And
I had to cancel. And I don't know if they're going to be in business next year.
Wow.
And that kills me. That just kills me, that kind of stuff.
It does.
Yeah. So when you think about it, I laugh because it affects the entire greater Springfield area. And the reason why I chuckled was a couple years back, there was a house fire and I spent a lot of money with one of the local television stations, and there was a house fire, and I'm watching the 11:00 news. It was Saturday night, so after the banquet, it's my early night, so I got to get back to the hotel by about 10 instead of 1 a.m. When we're setting up. So I'm watching the 11:00 news, and I'm watching because I want to see our ad on the television. and then there was this house fire, and there's like a 4-family house, and the little rookie. So we've been trying to find these people. The Red Cross has been trying to find these people rooms in the hotel, but there's a railroad hobby show in town, and they can't find any room. And I called up the station, and I said, play that tape. And the sales guy went, "Oh my God." I said, "Yeah. How much money did I just spend with you for the last 2 months?"
Yeah.
He goes, "John, I don't know what to tell you." I sat there. I said, "Did I just hear them say that?"
Yeah.
So it's. I mean, those are all the different things that you have to think about. And I go on PBS. It's just so many things. The month before the show, and radio spots, and we spent a lot of money on local cable, for the time. For the last 5 years, we've been on at halftime of the NFC AFC championship game, because there's local time that the cable companies allow. And this guy that I've known for years sneaks me in, and I get a 30-second spot at halftime of the
wow
of the championship game. Yeah, just locally around here.
Yeah.
And I spend a ton of money with. I had to call him and I said, "You're not going to believe this, Adam." He says, "You're not having a show." I said, "No." And it was a huge sale for him. But what are you going to do? So it affects everybody. It's just amazing what it affects. So, it is what it is.
And for people that don't think the hobby's big or it's growing, just think about the huge economic impact it's having on the local Springfield area.
Oh God, yeah.
Like it's a huge impact.
Well, we have tax people that come to the show. To just give you a small example, we have 5. I for the drama of it all, I call them undercover tax sales tax guys. They just come in plain clothes, but they do have a badge on, and we have to provide them with a list of everybody who's selling and their tax numbers. So they go around just to make sure everybody has a sales tax. So I've known the guy because he's been the same guy, and very routine. And they're very good people. They don't say you got to close. They say, "Let me issue you a tax number right now, so you could collect tax," and blah blah blah. So they're really good about it. Unlike other parts of the country where they put yellow tape around your booth and say no tax number, no business.
Right.
So that's happened. But anyways, I asked the guy. I said, "Is there any way you could tell me from all these tax numbers how much tax you collect?" He goes, "No way, Sean. I'm not supposed to tell you that." I said, "Give me a ballpark." So this is about 5 years ago, about two months after the show, ballpark figure, they collected $500,000 in taxes in 2 days at our show. That's 6.25% in Massachusetts. Do that math. That's $8 million of sales at our show.
Holy crap.
In 2 days. I sat there and I said, there's no way. He goes, "Yes way." And don't ever tell you I gave you this information.
Yeah.
But it was, I said, I don't want to know who. I just want to know a total. And so it wasn't such a bad thing. But I just couldn't believe it. And that's when I really got big on saying we are the largest dollar grossing train show in North America. It's hard to measure. Who knows what it is now. But last year we just had our best show ever, with attendance and exhibitors. So who knows? But can we do $8 million? Well, they're spending about $1 million in cash from the ATM machines, 600,000 really. So it's amazing. It is amazing. So you add it all up, $8 million. Give me a break. And that's just at the show. Who knows what it is for the surrounding area? The one hotel, our premier hotel where I stay, which is the Sheraton downtown, we do 300 room nights, at whatever the heck the rate is, somewhere around, we'll call it an even 100. It's a little bit more, but 300 times 100. So that's at just one hotel.
Wow.
So yeah, there's a lot of money involved.
So it's going to be interesting to kind of keep track. I think we should probably try to do another podcast, like, the first or second week of January, and just to kind of, keep track of what's happening and everything.
Oh yeah, let's do it. I enjoy coming on, and we get to spread the word about the hobby, which I love. So
Yeah, and I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, what the bumps and things that you run into as you're going along here. Now, I have a suggestion for you.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll work or not, but I just recently I interviewed a fella named Lauren James who runs a hobby store called Otter Valley Railroad, which is very, very successful. He's in Canada, kind of halfway between Detroit and Toronto, and does very, very well. And just by chance, I interviewed him the week after he had done a Facebook Live where it was just him and the store's very successful. He's got 5 or 6 employees on a Saturday.
Cool.
But for fun, him and his buddy decided they would do a Facebook Live tour around the shop.
Wow.
And he kind of picked up items and said, I got this item and that item. Anyways, in 45 minutes, they sold several $1,000s worth of goods.
Isn't that cool? That is such a great idea. I'll bet you that's recorded.
Yeah, probably.
I'll bet you it's still out there. See, I invite anybody that's involved in our show to do stuff like that on that weekend. So, but that will be coming because that's one of the things I'm going to ask for. Content, live streaming. Show us what you got. What are you trying to sell? Let's make some money for you.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what and as we're talking, I realized, I went, wow, I was very excited about it because I thought it was kind of revolutionary. Then somebody said, well, it's kind of the home shopping network. But I'm thinking if you could,
so what? Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, well, if you could somehow work that into your bit where people have, everybody takes a turn, like, you got guy A at 11 o'clock and he gets half an hour. Then
I want to have a master schedule of everything. Now, some of the things will be pre-recorded. You can watch it all weekend whenever you want. But but the live people, we're going to have to schedule it appropriately. So.
Because Kaylee, imagine if you walked around Tom's Trains doing a Facebook Live for 30 minutes showing product. And I mean, he had people starting from all over the world were typing in and sending messages. Oh, I want to buy that and I want to buy this. So his girlfriend or his wife was, taking orders and everything. And he said it was just spectacular how he sold stuff over this 45-minute period just on kind of a whim of an idea. So I mean,
isn't that funny? Yeah, that's the wave of the future. It really is.
Yeah, so maybe
that's cool.
Yeah, so maybe you can work something. I mean, and people. Don't forget, John, people will want to see you. I mean, with your level of enthusiasm and everything, people are going to want to hear and see from you. And it sounds like
I'd love to do something. We're actually working, so we could do a live, kick it off and kind of MC throughout the day and stuff. So
I think it's good.
We just got to get the right equipment
and figure it out. And I mean, who knows? Yeah. Who knows? It could lead to. In the years to come, you always have kind of a Facebook Live thing going on at the show or something like that.
Yeah. Well, we last year. Oh God, it's terrible. I can't remember the folks that do the virtual. The cameras, the train cameras pointing at track.
Virtual rail fan.
Thank you. Yeah. Geez, virtual rail fan set up a camera in the. They had you on camera most of the weekend, Kaylee.
I think someone was telling me that they were
it's true. I saw you. So they were streaming the whole show live, and usually at any one of their sites, if they had a site looking at some railroad station, they get 400 or 500 people a day. They had about 15,000 people watching the train show video, and it was the first time they did it. So they wanted to set up this year. Poor guys, I still love them though. They wanted to set up a camera in each of the 4 buildings so they could show, so you could see what's going on in all of the 4 buildings. But that would be another fun thing to do. So I think I have a lot of good friends / exhibitors that would be willing to help and do some things. So I'm really pulling out all stops as far as what can we do to help all these exhibitors. And that's my personal theme. But plus, yes, I understand it gets our name in front of everybody and keeps it there and all that. But I'm doing it first and foremost because we need to have something for these folks. And then it's also nice to keep our name fresh and all that stuff.
Okay, so we won't talk much longer because Tony's getting exhausted. Tony, you haven't said. Do you have any questions?
Well, I was waiting to get a word in edgewise. Yeah.
Oh, all right.
That's the problem with me, Tony. I once you get me going, it's hard to shut me up, but I'll be good.
Hey,
But no, it's great stuff. I look forward to. I've already signed up for Ken Bianco's Train World event that week leading up to it.
Oh, cool.
And that's one of the things Ken said is that he made sure those dates didn't conflict with your virtual stuff. Because I had asked about, hey, what's going on with that? Are you sure you're not? And he says, no, it won't conflict. So that's going to be that's going to be a whole week between.
I know.
I think Train World starts on, I think, Tuesday night. And then you'll kick in Friday or Saturday?
Saturday, probably Saturday will kick in.
Saturday, January 30th and 31st. Yeah, so it's going to be a fun week.
Yeah, I just talked to Ken like last week. And he said, would you come on? And I said, yeah. And we were discussing the dates and making sure it wouldn't conflict. I said, I'm going to publicize the heck out of all that stuff for you, because that really kind of makes it, right around that same time, kind of makes it. And that's what I always wanted to do with our show, which is why we did the clinics for 2 days prior. And I wanted it to be a week-long event. And we never got quite up to a week, but people would fly in Wednesday and they'd have clinics all day Thursday, all day Friday, and then go to the train show for 2 days. So it was like a getaway weekend. I still would love to do more, but I'm only one. It's only me, so I run out of gas. Plus, I'm old now. I just turned 70 a month ago.
You are old.
I am. It's just terrible.
Yeah, you might want to see a doctor about that.
Yeah.
Doctor, anything you do to turn back time.
I had a question for Kaylee. I can't remember what it was now. So when I remember it, I'm going to come back to it. Will Kaylee be Kaylee, will you be involved in this anyway, do you think? I mean, you like to take on more jobs than you can handle.
Ain't that the truth?
Ain't that the truth? What about, have you heard from Rapido at all? I mean, people must just be crushed. There's got to be a lot of people that are just crushed about. I mean, I know I am. I mean, I've had a lot of fun ever since I started the podcast, because every year more and more people come up to me. And of course, I've gotten to know you really well, John. So, I mean, it's just fun to be there, a period, end of sentence, because it's just a gathering when you know so many people. I mean, people must just be, I'm sure you've heard from all sorts of people that are.
The night I announced it to all the exhibitors, 440. The next day, by the end of the next day, I had 200 emails, and I tried to answer every single one of them personally. And a lot of them were they understand. Almost all of them were that I understand your decision. It's the right thing to do. But I think I swear I think they were saying that just to make me feel better. But because I actually sent them the press release attached, but in the email I said, let me tell you my personal feelings. And I started off saying, I'm devastated. And it actually said that in the email. I just am beside myself. I said, but I am going to make this up to you somehow. And that's what happened. So I got some very nice feedback from a lot of good folks. And I was just, I can't remember where the hell I was, but just the other day I said, this is how I run my business. And that's how I ran my computer business. My exhibitors in this case, they become my friends. And I wouldn't have it any other way. I could still make this a decent business decision as long as everything's fair for both parties. That's all I care about. But I care more about the relationships. And that's what I've gotten myself into. I have so many great relationships. There's a guy, he's not coming this year. He's one of the cancellations. He's in his 80s. He brings me a little bottle of wine. He's a little Italian guy. And he emailed me. He goes, I'm going to miss our hug. And that was one of the moments when I had tears in my eyes. Yeah. Because this guy comes up to me, he can barely walk. He's still selling trains. And he hands me a bottle of wine and he gives me a big hug. And I'm afraid to hug him back because I'll crush him. He's so fragile. But that's the kind of stuff that kills me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And he's so old. Not to be a jerk, but who knows if he's going to be around next year? Every year, 3 or 4 people, my exhibitors, 3 or 4 people pass away. And I made some early stupid moves, and I'd call up and I'd say, for crying out loud, Millie, where's your husband? He was supposed to send me the contract. And he goes, oh, John, he died about a month ago. Talk about, I said, could you hold a minute? It's going to take me about 20 minutes to get my foot out of my mouth.
Yeah.
You don't realize. So I don't say that. I don't say that stuff anymore. I just say, how are things going is everything. But every year without fail, 15 years, at least one or two people have passed away. And that scares me because they're, everybody's old. And that's why we had a lot of cancellations. They're in the high risk category for COVID. So.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm going to ask you a question. This is one of the reasons I like having the podcast, because I like asking these kind of questions because I do. Do you have any idea about the impact you've had on the hobby and the Amherst show because of you just have a great personality, great fun attitude, and do you have any sense of what you've done for the hobby and for the show? Because let's face it. Let's call a spade, or a coin, or a quarter, or a turtle, or whatever you call it.
A turd.
Yeah, turd. Yeah, there you go. That's what it is. Now, I don't want you to think, John, that was my last thought before.
No. I
know it's very hard. I know it's very hard to blow your own horn.
I can measure it in money, from a business standpoint. Years ago, we made, I don't know, maybe $30,000 or so profit after all expenses when the show, before me. And now we're doing 5 times that amount. What that does is that allowed us to purchase a building, and it allows us to give away a decent amount of money every year. So we've given away since 1991 $800,000 to other nonprofit organizations, and it kills me this year too, because we had to suspend that to stay alive at a time when all these nonprofits really need the money more than anything. So we're doing what we can, and we have some goals. So if we make enough money, we're going to actually reactivate the grant program. We've only missed it once, so we'll see what happens. But as far as what's out there, I really don't know. I like to think that the show is a much better show in terms of how easy it is to work with people. It used to be a nightmare, to tell you the truth, and it was very cutthroat, and it was like I equate things like that to the motor vehicle department. They keep score trying to send as many people away as they can. You didn't have 17 forms of ID. You're gone. You're out of here.
Yeah.
And that's how it used to be. And now it's like, hold it. Let's see what we can do to make this work. Again, as long as it's fair for both people. But so the show's done much better monetarily, which means we give it all away. And that's actually got us in a little bit of a bind this year. We give it all away.
Yeah.
And now without the show, we don't have any money to give away. Or now we do have some reserves, of course.
Sure.
But it's not what we're used to. To take care of running the building and all the extra things that we like to do, and silent auctions to raise money for other people and all of that. So, but anyways, back to your question. I don't know, other than I know the show's much better, and people have talked about how easy it is and how pleasant it is to be at the show and stuff like that compared to the old days. But the impact out there, I can only hope that it's spread, because I just want to keep this hobby alive. And to me, the hobby is not just model railroading, although I do have a nice layout in my basement that I haven't worked on in 3 years. No time. But
all right, let me ask.
It's all the other stuff too. I want to keep historical societies alive.
I get that. Let me ask you the question from a different angle then, because it's important. It's important to me. I'm sure somebody that's listening is enjoying this part of the conversation, but it's important to me. Try to give people the sense of, because you get nothing in return other than satisfaction for a job well done. That's really all you get in return for all your years of doing this. There's no monetary reward or anything like that. All you get in return is the satisfaction of doing a job, having done a job well.
Job well done.
A job well done.
Yeah. Well, let me correct you a little bit. I do get some money.
Okay.
Just so you know, but it's not even enough to cover my expenses.
Sure.
I drive all over the place. Do I ever put in those?
You get some money. Yeah, you get some money to cover your expenses.
Yeah, and it never covers them, which is fine. This is truly a labor of love, and I get very frustrated at times, but this is a Pope-like job. In other words, I'm the show director until I die.
Yeah.
But I'm not stupid either. I've actually been working on a succession plan because I'm getting old and I'm getting tired, and I could feel it a little bit. But still, I mean, the love for this greatly outweighs me being tired and old.
Yeah, I feel.
But I can see it. Yeah,
we're a few years out from that yet. I can.
Yeah. So but I'm thinking in 3 or 4 years I'm going to be done.
No way.
Well, I don't know.
No way. Come on.
I'll be 75 in 5 years.
You're at 75. You'll be thinking, I can do it 1 or 2 more years. And then
honestly, I hope I feel that way. I really do.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean I shouldn't be training someone in case I get hit. Get hit by a bus. So I've been thinking a lot about that, and with the way I've got it automated now, it's easier. But a lot of it is all the relationships you have with everybody. I mean, it's interesting. People when there's some people that haven't had a good year, they can't make the deadline for the payment of their tables. What do? Nope, sorry, you're out of the show. I don't do that.
Yeah.
I said, give me a deposit, and just so long as you pay before you're here, we'll work it out. We'll work out a payment plan. I mean, that's the right thing to do for these guys that are, just trying to get by. I'm not going to bust their ass over stuff like that. That's silly. That spreads the goodwill. So,
can you think of what was maybe the most rewarding moment over the last 16 years? One of the things you look back on with fondness of, man, that was cool.
Yeah. Bay State Children's Hospital, the NICU ward and the kids oncology ward. They had a project where a guy was building them a layout to put in their waiting area. He totally screwed up the whole thing. He had too many of wrong items in there, for that could carry infectious disease, and because these kids are at their low point of health. But anyways, he overcharged them for a layout. It was supposed to be a $7,000 layout. He wanted 25. They settled for 14, and he never finished it. Bay State Children's Hospital called me up and they said, "Take this." And I said, "What?" He said, "We don't know what to do with it." I said, "Here's what I'm going to do with it. I'm going to finish this layout, and we're going to raffle it off and make back your money."
Oh, cool.
And it took us 3 years, but the first year we because that was the layout. It was a good start. Whoever built the layout, even though he overcharged, it was a beautiful layout. And Kaylee, you might remember, it's that snow layout, that winter scene layout.
Yep.
And we raised, mostly because the hospital participated in selling the raffle tickets. But the first year we raised $7,500, and we ended up making them $30,000. And when I handed them the check, the girl, the director of that foundation which raises money, wept. That made me feel pretty good.
Wow, that's cool. That is.
Yeah,
cool.
so we doubled their money they paid. And they all retired. So we moved on to children's autism. So we've been making money for them. So a lot of it is that. And it's really funny. We love making the layouts and stuff, but to hand that check over to those people when they just need the money, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is very cool. John, I mean, I wouldn't. We've been able to build a relationship over the last couple of years. But I got to tell you, I feel very honored to be able to call you a friend. I think you're doing wonderful work, and I think you should be very, very proud of yourself for all the effort you put in. And I think, whatever I can do to help you this year, please feel free to ask. I mean, okay. I'm of limited ability, but
streaming live all day Saturday and all day Sunday.
And I would.
I am only kidding.
I'll get Tony to do it for you.
John, have you seen Lionel? You do realize he has the face for radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. A face only radio can love.
Yeah, exactly. Did we cover everything, Kaylee?
I think so. I think this was a great discussion.
So we'll do this again. Let's say we're going to do this our first week after the New Year.
Sounds great.
And then let's tentatively plan for the first Thursday after the New Year.
Perfect.
At 8:34 p.m.
I'm in.
What a great man, you guys. I feel bad, but boy, I think I know you're going to do whatever you can. So
yeah, and Tony, I really wanted to play TV trivia with you tonight, but we'll save that for another time.
I look forward to it, and let me know what I can do for you. We'll certainly put it out.
I know you will.
The information on the Facebook pages and get all that stuff out for all the White River titles to support you.
You guys have been a good partner, and we really appreciate it. So, thanks.
All right. What do you think, Kaylee? I think that's it. I think we got a good handle on what's happening. And we'll do it again at the first Thursday after the New Year to update what everybody can expect. And we'll go from there.
Oh, absolutely. What they can expect, where to get the information, where to watch, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Cool. I think I'm just kind of speechless because I'm going to. But however, on the plus side, John, I think there's always a silver lining, and because last year you screwed up my show passes for Modeler's Life, this now gives you another whole year to try to get that right.
I was wondering when you were going to get this in. Every broadcast, you screwed up my passes. I owe you. I admit it.
All right, Kaylee, can you give out our email address?
Sure. If you would like to get a hold of us and then send John either a congratulation notes, a condolence notes, or whatever note of your choosing, you can send a message at modelerslife@gmail.com. That's Modelerslife with one L, like in Kaylee, not two L's, like in Life Limited Parts.
Wow.
Very good.
Yeah. That was pretty good.
That was really good.
Yeah.
So I guess Kaylee, Chris Adams won't be having that dinner that he never invites me to.
At the steaming pile? Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, the steaming pile, yeah.
AKA tender, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I always forget that for some reason or other. Yeah, but you know what, Kaylee, I wonder if he'll send me an invite this year knowing that nobody will be there.
Lionel, this is your year, man. I can feel it coming.
I feel I got a shot. All right, and we have a website, modelerslife.com. If you go there, you'll find out all about the show, and if you didn't catch the email address, if you click on the picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, it will automatically bring up an email for you, and all you got to do is fill in the subject, and boom, you're away. Off you go. And John, this will be exciting news for you. This will be show-stopping news for you. We now have, if you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and you go across the navigation bar and click on AML, there is a cornucopia of Modeler's Life merchandise that you can buy.
Wow.
You can get mugs, T-shirts, hoodies, hats, anything you could possibly need is right there at Midwest Model Railroad.
Wow. I will check that out. I wrote it down, seriously.
Yeah, I'm sure you did. And also, talking about the hobby growing. All right, John, my $1 million question, even regardless of this, do you think the hobby's still growing or what's happening?
I do. And I expect a surge at next year's show.
Yeah.
You watch.
Yeah.
People will have been starved for train shows because I don't see it. When I look ahead at the dates, I don't see anything coming up until May. And frankly, with the numbers that the government will allow, phase 4 is a distributed vaccine. So I don't see anything happening until summer. And by then we'll be pretty much through the season. So we'll see what happens.
I bet you're pretty excited about Tom Stock 2020 though, eh?
Oh, hey.
Yeah. Have you ever listened to this podcast ever?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually have.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I go, who was that guy talking. I go, oh, it's me. When I listen to my voice, it just doesn't sound like me.
Seriously, though, how do I sound?
You sound fine.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
you have a great announcer voice.
All right. So we got the email, we got the website, we talked about the AML merch. I think that's it. I think we just about covered it.
I think that's all she wrote.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah, John, do you remember last time what you got to do at the end of the show?
Nah, I never remember. What do I have to do?
Okay, well, we'll give you a dry run, and then it might click, and if not, we'll do it again. Okay? Are you guys ready for this? Because I have no idea which direction this is going to go.
Okay, yeah. I got a backup for you if you need it.
All right.
Oh, good. Thank God.
Swing bada.
Yeah. I say the over-under is not a chance. Okay. So remember, John, this is all for you now. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10.
Oh, and then I'm supposed to fill that in?
Yeah.
Oh, good Lord. 6 out of 10.
Well, no. We'll start again. No, you've had your dry run. We'll start again.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was the dress rehearsal.
I see.
So next time, don't listen to just 5. Don't just listen to your parts. Listen to the whole podcast. So remember, a Modeler's Life podcast is considered marginally adequate by 6 out of 10
Mensa members.
By 4 car crushing action Saturday at the Spectrum. Burning motor coaches battle it out in the mud bog with special guest stars Heather Locklear and Knight Rider Car Kit.
It's another Lincoln Homer.
Ooh, wow. I like about that.
Yeah, that was out of left field. Oh, no.
It's going, gone.
It's
another
gone.
Lincoln Homer.
Back. It's gone. Oh, I forgot to push the record button.